Hello, I'm Dana Brooks of Basic Brooks, and welcome back to another episode of the EmPower Hour brought to you by the EmPower Plant from Basic Brooks. I'm so excited today because we're going to be talking about checking some of those things off your goal list or at least making some progress toward them because we just had the new year. So, a lot of you may have put down starting a business as your goal. Even if you can't quit your job, even if you're not quite ready yet, if it's one of your goals, you need to start making a plan to get to the end of it. So we're going to have a wonderful show for you today. I've got a great panel. And so I want to introduce to you our guest, Samantha Vance. I love Samantha. She's one of my people. She and I have been working together, helping girls and women for several years now. She works very closely with my law partner, Jimmy Fasig, and a lot of their joint ventures. She's part of that 5 a.m. Goal Crusher, getting up that early in the morning to change the world group that Jimmy does. Samantha, you started Ladies Learning to Lead L3, Learning to Lead L3, and you have done so much to help women and girls. We've got another panelist today who's one of the people you've helped. But tell us about yourself, welcome, and tell us why you're turned on by your mission in life.
Wow, I'm turned on. Oh, I love that. Wow, I'm turned on. Yes, L3 turns me on, and everything I do turns me on. I
It's
love that.
empowered.
It's it's empowering work. It's great work. Yeah. So the last 10 years, I've had the pleasure and honor of serving as the founder and executive director for Ladies Learning to Lead, serving young ladies in middle school, high school, and sometimes outside of high school age.
That's
When they
right.
get in college, they still need support and guidance. We help prepare them for college careers in life. And a lot of people don't know this, but at the age of 27, I started a consulting business. And I've continued that consulting business, different names, but currently Impact Core Group. And we provide small business and nonprofit consulting services, as well as coaching for nonprofit and small business executives. And here soon, we'll be launching a second part of that company to connect clients with consultants.
I love that because so many people tell me that when they think of starting a business, a lot of them want to start a nonprofit. They're not really looking to get rich. They just want to have a nice living helping others. And a lot of people think you
Right.
can't earn a good living helping people, and that's not true. So I can't wait for us to drill down on a little bit more on that. I
Right.
want to welcome Carrie Roan, my law partner. Carrie was here. She had a big day, and that somehow broke loose, and she was able to join us today. Unlike our two regular panelists, Kimmy Hogan and Rose Caswick, whose cases and clients require their attention right now. So welcome, Carrie, and tell us you're a business owner because you're a shareholder at Basic Brooks.
Yeah, that's right. I'm very lucky to do that.
It's a little different than being an attorney and an employee for somebody else, isn't it?
It's a lot different. There's a lot more stress and pressure and responsibilities and time and intensity and
Yeah.
a lot going on.
I tell people I'm not just paying my mortgage and my car payment, I'm paying, 84 of them. That's the way I look at it.
And I worry about that every single day, every
Oh,
day.
100%, 100%. 100%. So I can't wait to get your perspective on what it's like to be not just a business owner, but a woman business owner. I'm very proud to say that 75% of the equity owners of Facing Brooks are women.
Woo-hoo.
You ever heard about that in a private law firm?
No,
I
I
haven't.
haven't.
So
Never.
yay us. I can't wait to say more about that. And I want to welcome Elizabeth Hughes. Elizabeth, you were with us as a guest before, I believe, when we were talking about something. Yeah. So welcome back. Elizabeth, you work here as an intern. Well, you're actually a almost full-time employee now, but you came to us as an intern, and then
hmm
you had worn a few different hats here. You're very, very interested in politics, and I love that. But you also have a connection to our guest, Samantha Vance. Why don't you tell us
Yes,
a
I
little bit about
do.
yourself and what your nexus is?
So I've known Miss Sam for several years now, probably close to 4 years, and I met her at a Ladies Learning to Lead conference. And at that conference, she just opened, the world up to me, and I thought, wow, there's so much that I can do. And my favorite part of that conference was the mock interview. And before that, I had never had an interview experience, and that mock interview helped me win scholarships. It helped me win pageants. It helped me, you know, get jobs, the whole 9 yards. And I just think that is so important for every young woman, especially, to go and learn how to just go in and own that interview.
Yeah.
And that's definitely my most favorite Ladies Learn to Lead moment. And Miss Sam has stayed in touch with me over the years, and she's mentored me a few times and helped me try and settle on a career path multiple times because I wasn't quite sure what to major in or what classes to take. And she went to Florida State like I'm going to. And so she was just a world of information and has continuously helped me narrowing down on the career path.
I love it. I love it. I love seeing women build up and empower other women. I'm super excited about that energy today. Finally, I want to introduce for the first time to our panel, the producer of the EmPower Hour and the EmPower Plant, Whitney Morris. Whitney, welcome. You had a very important set of shoes to fill today. So I appreciate you stepping in because Rose Caswick, our law partner, was not available today. Her clients require her attention as well. Whitney, what are we drinking today? Tell us about yourself, why you were turned on about the EmPower Hour, but mainly, what is this?
Yes, yes, the show must go on. All right. Let's see. This drink right here is sangria, I guess, sangria adjacent.
Sangria.
We have a full bottle of red wine, of which might be a blend, might be a lower shelf brand, not much of an upper shelf brand. Anyway, and then there's a little bit of tequila in it. What are you tasting, Danes? What are you tasting?
Tequila with wine? Wait a second. That can't be.
You know what this is? This is Rose. Rose is not
Rose
here to own it. Rose drops it off. She drops off the bomb and isn't here to defend it.
She's trying to make you guys throw up today on Facebook.
Rose.
This is the third one of these roses planted on me, and I'm like, I can't get through 45 minutes of this business.
Listen, I need your honest reaction.
I honestly could nix the tequila.
Okay.
Is this spearmint, peppermint? What is this?
Peppermint.
It's spearmint, whatever mint. It's nice.
It's a mint.
This should have gone one of two ways. It should have been sangria, or it should have been a mojito. But what it's trying to do is too much. So I'm gonna, you know what I mean, on this one.
I have heard that a sangria is harder to make than you would anticipate it.
Well, it's fruity, then you've got to have balance.
So this one was pretty easy, and this one was inspired by the incomparable Dolly Parton. If you've seen our post on EmPower Plant, we do a little roses drink of the week.
Yeah,
and
you follow that on Pinterest too.
One day I'm hoping that we get a little, someone makes it in their kitchen and they share a picture of it with us. We would love to see that.
Yes.
Since I've been on EmPower Plant, which has been a full 2 weeks, so I think it's been going pretty well. I'm trying to engage our audience a little bit more, and
give us feedback, y'all.
We're trying to grow to different platforms. We love hearing from you, and we also are trying to incorporate your suggestions into our content. And I also really love this topic, and we're coming up with great topics. We have awesome topics coming up. I hope you guys continue to watch this series. But this topic is specifically near and dear to my heart because about a year ago, I made the big decision to stop pursuing medicine and decided I want to be my own boss. And one day, hopefully in the near future, I get to start my own business. So I'm really excited to hear what Sam has to say today.
Thank you, Whitney. And you're doing a fantastic job. We love it. And we do want to hear from you all. What topics do you want? What do you want to hear about from our guests? So just keep posting, direct message us, whatever you need to do. But I love everything I'm hearing, especially from these young women, Elizabeth and Whitney. Carrie is a business owner, probably for the first time as a real owner involved in the day in, day out, promoting, marketing, really having a big voice in it. Sam, did you work for somebody else for a long time? What in the world made you decide you were going to be your own boss?
I did. And in the spirit of fun, I'm joining you all with the happy with the happy hour.
Happy. I have backup wine because I never trust Rose's drink. So I have backup wine. And lately I've been doing low carb backup wine. I wouldn't recommend it. It's terrible. But for those of you who don't like to drink alcohol, just know that most of these, when you go to Pinterest or the EmPower plant, you'll see the recipe with the no alcohol. So just clearance. But anyway.
I think we need to nickname Rose Rosé.
That's a good idea.
She's affectionately called Rosarita currently, so that plays on the margarita.
That's better, Rosarita. So yeah, what made me start? I love answering that question because it's really crazy stories that are behind my story. So I have two starts. I have the Ladies Learning to Lead start, which was by happenstance, honestly, and then the consulting start for business. But yeah, I worked at the age of 19. I had my first career job, which was at the EPA in San Francisco.
What?
And yeah, and from there, I was a career woman at 19 years old. I decided that I wanted to move to Florida. Long story behind that. When I got to Florida at some point, I was in Orlando. So crazy story. And I rarely share this story.
Then I have to hear it.
You got to hear it. It's crazy. This is how I got my consulting start. So it wasn't like I want to be my own boss. I loved working. I loved being in corporate. I loved being in the atmosphere with colleagues, and I loved the clock in 9 to 5. I loved all of that actually. But one day I was working for this company and I just started. I was a week in and I realized that things are just not right here. I'm all about quality control. I can see something and say, okay, yeah, that needs to be fixed or that's not right. Even if I don't know how to fix it, I know it's not right.
Right.
So I went into this company and I was the operations manager and everything was just like all wrong. And everything I pointed out every day just was like a little box I'm checking. And once I checked all these boxes, I'm like,
now what?
Crazy.
Yeah.
So the last straw for me was the day that they asked me to do something ridiculous. And let me give you the backstory of the company. The company is owned or was owned by a multimillionaire who had gotten his money from an accident. He loved animals. So he decided, I'm going to start a dog food company that's organic and, you know, have this great product for the dogs. But he knew nothing about business. And it showed.
So many people do that. So many people like, I want to make widgets. I want to practice law. I want to build picnic tables, but they don't go to the trouble to learn about business.
Right.
And that's the thing that I talk to a lot of people about, actually. People reach out to me all the time because they have these great ideas, but they don't know anything about business. So he actually had an office in a high building in Orlando. And it was just like, okay, the most attractive job, right? But the HR was being run by his wife, which was being done through—
Always a mistake.
Yeah, and it was being done through HR for Dummies books. So that was—
be glad they were seeking that much input. You know, in my experience, that has been a fail 100% of the time.
Hey, and I'm not knocking HR for Dummies books or all the For Dummies books. They help a lot of people. But when you're trying to manage and run a large company and you're still reading those books, then something's not right.
You can't manage your spouse's practice. You can't do that. That's just, no, come on. Please. No, so there's got to be boundaries.
A lot of prep on the front end before you get into it. And already into it, they were still learning how to do it.
Sure. So
long story short, I was just at my wit's end. And the day they asked me to do something crazy was pretty much the last straw for me. That was the day they asked me to taste dog food.
Ew. My sons would have done that.
I tell you what, I put my dog on something fancy that you get in the refrigerated section. And when I open it up, I'm like, it smells like Thanksgiving in here. This stuff smells fantastic.
Oh, it was good.
No, I wouldn't have done it, but they're making that stuff look awfully attractive.
Oh my God. They are. But
what did you do?
Dog food is dog food.
Get real.
That's
How dare
horrible.
they?
Dog food. I'm not eating dog food.
They're not treating you like a human at that
Right.
point.
Right.
That's very demoralizing. That's
Good
disgusting.
Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thinking was, if you guys taste the product, you'll know if it's good. I'm like, I'm not a dog, so how would I know what?
That's ridiculous.
So at that
But
day,
you're not selling it based on the dog's preference. You're selling it based on how the owner feels about it.
right, and the owner's job is to pick out the packaging, not to taste the food.
100%.
So the day they asked me to taste dog food was the day I quit.
That
the
sounds
day-
reasonable, Sam.
I
I hope you felt
quit.
100% supported by the women in your life for your decision at that point.
God,
Everyone has a breaking point. Sam's with dog food.
100%.
Yes.
That was it for me. So true
Crazy.
story. And the next day, I see I'm a helper, I'm a giver. So I'm
Yeah.
always like, I don't like to leave people high and dry.
No.
And typically I never quit a job. Like I've never quit a job aside from that one on the spot. That was it for me. That was my last day. Usually I give a 2 weeks notice or what have you, or more than that. Next day, I sent this long email and I said, hey, here are the things that you guys can do. I suggest this. This is all wrong. Fix
Love it.
this, work on this, da 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 da. Never ever in that 2 weeks did I hear or see the CEO. Never heard from him, never saw him. I get a call like an hour after I send that email, and it was from the CEO. And he says, hey, got your email. And I'm thinking, oh Lord, you know, he's
gonna tell you
gonna
later.
like
Yeah.
flip because I'm telling him all these things they need to fix, right? And this is his baby. It's like somebody coming to me about L3 and saying you need to fix such and such and such.
Right.
So
Right.
I said, okay, you know, what's going on? And he said, loved your email. These are the kind of things that I need to do. And you're the type of person that I need. Will you please consider coming back? I said, absolutely not. No. I mean, there were so many things. It takes a lot for me to get to my breaking point.
Yeah.
And it had built up over time.
Yeah.
And the dog food
Well,
was
you-
the last straw.
Well, you also found, you found your backbone, your wings, your whatever it is, your gumption, whatever it was for you to say, no, I've had quite enough. And when you
Right.
reach that, you don't want to go backwards thinking that, oh, they'll love me now. You're ready to move forward. You're ready
Love
to
me
do
now, right?
your own thing. So sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes it takes getting to the point where you just go, no, enough, no more of this. I can't do this another second. So let me ask you a few other questions.
Wait, let me finish telling you that piece.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What happened was I told him no, that I wouldn't come back.
Yeah.
He turned around and said, well, will you be a consultant for us? I was 27 years
What?
old and I knew nothing about consulting. I didn't even know like what that meant in terms of how I would do it. So what I did, my response was, let me think about it. and that's a great response, ladies.
Yeah.
When you don't know the answer and it's a business meeting or something, typically I'm a okay, I don't know kind of person. Like I accept my I don't knows and I'll be like, well, I don't know what that is. But in that case, when you're doing business, it's okay to say, let me think about it.
Yeah.
Which may mean you really need to think about it, or
Yeah.
it may mean you have no clue.
Well, you have the power when you decide, when you
Right.
will decide.
So I told him, let me think about it. And then I thought, well, heck, what is a consultant? How do I do that? So I Googled, what is a consultant? How to start a consulting business. And from there, I got my answers and I got my start. And I'll talk more about resources, but that resource was SCORE. SCORE helped me start the business and create contracts. And that client, that dog food company became my first client.
Get out.
Paid me $3,000 a month for 10 hours.
That's a
Wow.
lot of money.
That's way better off than working there.
Right,
What?
it sure was. But that's what my SCORE mentors told me to say, that I wanted to charge. And I was like, okay. And I
Well,
charged it and they accepted.
I will tell you this, and I think Carrie will back me up. As a business owner, if you are performing and you ask for more, you'll probably get it.
Mhm.
Now, performing does not mean being busy. Does everybody understand the difference between performing and being busy?
Huge difference.
Working hard and performing. Because I've always said I have performance measures. If someone can achieve those juggling on a handstand on the top of my building instead of sitting in their office, if they could do it in 6 hours instead of, I don't care. I don't care. You know, as long as
that
it
is
doesn't hurt
such,
my brand, I don't care. I don't believe in making people be tied to a desk 8 to 5, get dressed, schlep in just because what? Because I had to. And
Right.
I think they
that
should
is
have
such
an
an
easier
American
life than me.
ideal
I
that we
don't do
have.
that.
If
I'm
you
sorry,
work
wait, what?
hard, so that is such an American ideal, though.
Yeah.
You know, it's celebrated to work to the bone.
Well, like
We
they
went
say,
up.
like in Europe, you're supposed to take vacation, but in America, people pride themselves on all the leave they built up, all the
It's
unused
a
leave they built, because they think that it makes them, have a higher work ethic or something. To me, you're not working. It's not about working harder. It's about working smarter. Let's go around real quick, and let's hear from Carrie. Carrie, when you think of starting a business, there's several ways to be a business owner. You can join an existing business. You can start your own. You could start one with other people, lots of ways. But what do you think of when you think about the daunting task of not having the safety net of an employer?
Well, the biggest thing for me is income. One of my questions for Sam is, can you talk about and address how do you start a business when you don't have any money? Where do you get the money to start a business? For
Yeah,
me,
you have a bunch of reserves. What do you do?
right. I didn't have money to start a law firm. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of us that do it a different way, which is you start with an existing practice and then you perform well and you work your way up and hopefully you get into an ownership role, which I've been lucky to do. And, it's real hard, I think, for anybody starting a business to come up with the capital. So I'm interested to know if Sam has suggestions about that.
Yeah, and I want to add this before Sam responds, because so many times when you try to break through an existing company, man, that is way hard. They all have their own culture.
Yeah.
They probably all grew up together or their families knew each other. And you may have been lugging away, just dredging through 10 years, making them all kind of money. But then their kid goes to law school, comes out, boom,
Yeah.
bounces in front of you. So to me, and I hear this a lot, I want to address this, and I hope it's not too controversial, but if it is, so what? Let's talk about it. I get asked sometimes, where are the Black people in your law firm?
What?
Yeah. I get that sometimes. They're like, I see you all on these billboards and you're all white. That's not actually true, but I get why somebody might say that. But I told them, and I did feel bad about it. And I used to say, I want Black faces in this law firm. Go find me some Black faces in this law firm. Surely there's some lawyers and paralegals who want to work for me. Come on. And then I realized, why am I trying to create employees out of people who have not had their shot? And so that changed my orientation. And I thought, I don't want them coming up through the drudgery. I think I could do better if I enabled them to be business owners and compete with me instead of be my employees. And so I took it upon myself to mentor these people who say they kind of want to work for me or whatever. I'm like, what is your ideal practice? It may not be being an employee in mine. So if it is starting your own business, working with people who have a shared experience with you, who can relate more to you, I want to help you do it. I just want you to succeed. Okay. You don't have to do it in a model that I did it in or that most people do it in. So it hurts me when people think that because I don't have Black partners, that I don't try to support and promote Black people, Black lawyers, especially women lawyers, anybody of color, anybody's had a boot on their neck. I don't care what it is. I don't care what form you come in. I want you to be an owner. I want you to be a competitor, not an employee. Sam, say more about that. Say what you think about a person of color, a woman starting a business, uphill battles. How did you break through some of those things? How did you leapfrog over convention?
Yeah. When I think, honestly, when I started, I didn't think I was starting a business. I didn't really understand what that meant. And I definitely didn't look at myself. And most times, even till today, I don't look at myself as a woman of color. I look at myself as a business owner.
Yeah.
I look at myself as someone who excels in everything they do or tries to, and tries to do it in excellence. No matter what my gender is or my color is. Now, am I oblivious to the fact that I am a Black female? No, absolutely not. There are more benefits, especially now, since the pandemic, unfortunately, but there are more benefits to being a minority business owner. So yeah, that's that piece. But my focus is really on making sure that I do the best job that I can, no matter if I'm wearing a skirt or some holy jeans like I'm wearing today with some heels.
Me too, girl.
Right? Or if I have braids in my hair, or it just doesn't matter. My goal is to achieve the mission. For Ladies Learning to Lead, it's all about the mission. For Impact Core Group, it's all about business. So in these type of settings, it's good to talk about the stuff that women face in business, but just transparently on a day-to-day. I don't think of myself as a minority female. And let's just be frank. For me, it might be different. If we can be, is this a space where we could be really open and honest
100%.
here on the show?
Yeah.
Okay. Since we're talking about it, and I kind of don't want to get into it, but we're getting into it.
Whatever you're comfortable with. Whatever you're comfortable with.
It has helped me, honestly, because my name is Samantha.
It's an androgynous name.
My name is
Samantha. You
Samantha.
can be Sam.
Right. And
Me too, Dana.
I speak proper, right? So when you may have a different type of name, that is a Black cultural name, which there's nothing wrong with. It's just a different type of culture. You'll find that in French culture and Indian culture, you may have some of the same names as Black women have.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with the names. However, the stigma is that there is Black names are often overlooked on resumes.
Yes, I know they are. Yeah. I used to work in law firms where the receptionist was told to turn the right corner over if it looked like it was a Black person.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Right.
There's an Indeed commercial about that.
No, that's real.
That's
real. And Samantha, I wasn't trying to make you uncomfortable at all, but I was trying to recognize the benefits to being an owner versus an employee. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody's going to give you business, but it's a whole lot better to be vying for business as an owner than it is to be sucking up just to keep a damn job.
Right.
From someone who doesn't give you respect as a whole person.
Yeah. So that, I hope that we and you all can maybe have a show about that topic.
I'd love to.
That about racism, diversity in the workplace. It definitely needs to be talked about. Some of the real stuff that happens, like the names on the resumes and people being overlooked just because of their name. I've walked
even
in
zip codes before. Even zip codes. You know, even a zip code could get you dinged. You know what? And I wanted, since we got onto this topic, I was leading into this. Is there money available to people who have been historically disadvantaged that an entrepreneur could take advantage of, a woman who wants to start a business? Are there special funds set aside that you know of? And if not, how did you do it? How did you get the funding you needed to grow and start these other businesses? And don't let me forget, lady, I want to talk about your new journal coming out.
Oh, right. Yes, absolutely. So there are 4 ways that I've seen it done, and three of those, the top 3 is the ways I recommend doing it if you're going to do it. Okay. Everybody's way is different. So like my story, right? I came into it being thrown into it in a different type of way, and actually it came to me. I didn't go to it. So there's that piece. And that's actually
that probably gave you some extra confidence beginning. It came to you.
Exactly. Yeah. So one of the ways is starting with clients already. And I do know a few folks who have done that, specifically in Florida. And they have started with clients already, where people say, hey, I really want you to teach me or show me how to do this. You may start as a career coach, like Derek McGee, right? He's a career coach. And you have people like Holly McPhail, who started her company in marketing. Mm-hmm. So people like that have already had clients. They've already been doing the work behind the scenes. And it may be that to a certain point, like Tracetta Alexander just posted recently, she left her job at Florida State University because she had so many clients and so many opportunities on the business side. So that's one way. It's starting with clients. Another way is starting with a job already. Mm-hmm. So the current job that you're on, and that's how I started with Ladies Learning to Lead. I worked 6 years of the 10 that L3 has been in existence on the job at Florida Healthcare Association. I had the flexibility and the liberties and an amazing boss, Emmett. Shout out to Emmett Reed. He's amazing, amazing mentor boss. And he allowed me time. And of course, after my 5 o'clock work ended, I was in the office working on L3 stuff. And so you can do it with a job. It takes a lot of work, but you can do it with the job. The third way of doing it is with nothing. You can just
tell us about it. Tell us about nothing.
You have no clients. You have no job, right? Some people have been, and this is for a lot of people who have been laid off, and they think, well, what do I do next? Do I go back into the workforce, or do I start my own company?
You have to take on more debt and go to school and maybe not be able to use that.
You can start with nothing, and with that nothing, you improvise. You find who's around you, like family and friends and other resources that can help you build that capital and build that company. And then the last way that I don't typically recommend, but it is a way, and I've seen people do it, is to take out a loan. You start with loans.
That's what I was about to ask.
Right. So starting with loans, you got to have a plan in place in order to pay that loan back. So you can't just like, I'm going to take out a loan and then go start a business.
Plus, you've got to have a business plan. And I want to talk about this. Now, I'm not trying to get my email flooded with requests for money, but one of my goals for 2021 and going forward is I want to become a microfinancer of women-owned businesses or women, controlled, influenced businesses. But here's the thing. I don't know anything about it. I know personal finance. I've done pretty well, taking care of my own money, but I've never been a lender. So I would like to learn about that. And you and I both participate a lot in DOMI. Okay, DOMI, DOMI, the DOMI Institute, especially Women Wednesdays. Barbara, she's awesome. And they help women understand business, how to access financing. What do you need to show them? You need a business plan. You need to show them that if they invest in you, they're going to get their money back with a very good return. People come up to you and they'll say, I just need $5,000 to start a cleaning business. I need a reliable van and, a Dyson vacuum cleaner and some supplies. No, you don't. You need so much more than that. So I don't want to discourage women, especially, but I want to show them some resources and ways to get financing.
Exactly. Yeah. And if this is the time for me to share resources, I have a whole page full. And
Whitney's going to follow up with you and make sure we post these too.
Exactly. Yeah. So because I have different folks in various areas, I outline some of the resources that are in those areas. So Tallahassee. And these are all free business resources.
Love it.
There's nothing better than free, right?
I love free.
There's nothing like a free resource. So free resources that you have in Tallahassee, Small Business Development Center, that's led by Keith Bowers. And these are places you can just Google and find out about. Office of Economic Vitality. One of the key things for women is if you are a minority business, woman-owned, they have a certification that's called the Minority Women and Enterprise Business Certification. When you get that certification, you get information about contracts that other people won't get. You get them on the front end, basically. You get first dibs on those contract opportunities.
Love it.
Right. And these are state contracts, they're county contracts or city contracts, whatever the case may be, right? And then you get priority because you are a minority-owned business.
Yeah.
But you can go through that website and get the certification as Office of Economic Vitality. All the chambers, if you're already an existing business, Capital City, Big Bend Minority Chamber, Tallahassee Chamber, Florida Chamber, all those are great. DOMI is another one. That's definitely on the list. Enterprise Florida is a great resource just for anybody in Florida. And then for Tallahassee folks, career coaching. If you do not know what you want to do just yet, because I feel like this is a transitional period for a lot of people where they're like either lost their job or just things are up in the air, limbo. Like the
Well, you
world is
feel
crazy
vulnerable.
right now, right?
You feel vulnerable because you realize your job depends a lot on being in person contact with people. A lot of sales jobs are
Right.
really hard to do right now, and they're so lucrative. People just naturally flock to them. But I think that we're seeing a correction. So people need to say, do I at least need a side gig for
Yeah.
supplemental, income or whatever?
But
But
then what
yeah,
do I
you think
do?
about a reboot.
What do I do? And one of the, and I'll share a little, I'll be a little vulnerable with everybody.
Yeah.
One of the things I've dealt with over the years is being gifted in too many areas and trying to hone in. That's the blessing and a curse.
Girl,
Which
that's your
things do I
burden.
do? Right? Which
I am
things
too
do I
gifted.
do? That.
Hashtag too gifted.
And then when do I do it?
Yeah.
If I do it all, because you
Yeah.
can do, like, if it's 3 things or 4 things, you can do it. Like, look at Steve Harvey, right? He's doing it all. But
yeah, but then he blew that Miss Universe. You know what I'm saying? If you're spread too thin, you'll have a Steve Harvey level fail.
Hey, we're all entitled to mess
fail.
up. We all mess up, right? But what do I do and when? So another thing, a resource I recommend is career coaching.
Love
and
it.
I said his name earlier, but Derek McGee, great career coach. Somebody you can talk to say, hey, which area do I go into? How do I do this? Do I really launch out into entrepreneurship, business ownership? Is it time for me? So getting a mentor, mentors are really huge.
Love it.
Atlanta, there are tons of resources. Score, and welcome to Atlanta, folks. I'm in Atlanta. So shout outs to Atlanta. So yeah, Score. And like I told you my story about the dog food, right? Score was my start. Score helped me. Score will give you a sheet that tells you every single thing you need to do to start your business. And you can go on any Score website and find that. You can also, number 2 on their website, find, there are 3 things that I love on their website. One is that checklist to start a business. 2 is the financials. It's a spreadsheet, and it's like maybe 8 to 9 different tabs within that spreadsheet that show you how to do your financials. 3,
that's
a
amazing.
business plan template.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You've got to learn how to do a personal financial statement and a business plan, and you have got to understand debt and credit.
Right. And
When
all
to
that
use
stuff
your
is
money,
on
when to use
Score's
somebody else's money. Yeah.
Right. All that stuff you can find on Score's website.
I
So
love
Atlanta Score, Georgia.org, ACE, which is Access to Capital for Entrepreneurs. And then all the chambers. Jacksonville, you got Score, Small Business Development Center. In Jacksonville, there's also a women's business center. So Jacksonville folks, go to it. There you go.
Well, we have an office in Jacksonville, and we are trying to do anything we can to help build up anybody over there. So I appreciate having these resources to share, because we're going to put this on our, our social media and our webpage and everything like that over there. So thank you for the shout out for the Jacksonville people.
Yeah, and I'll send you the rest of these. I have some for Tampa as well. There's a women's business center there. In Austin, Texas, there's others. And then Yahoo Small Business has free resources. Just Google Yahoo Small Business and you'll get all that stuff. And then above all else, just Google. Just Google. If you need a template, Google, I need this kind of template, and you'll find it.
No, Google is like being at your grandma's house and getting into that Encyclopedia Britannica. Okay, now 2 people on this panel have no idea what I just said.
I wish I was one of them.
No, don't date yourself.
I have no idea what that is.
I know you do. Okay, Elizabeth. Okay, we're going to wrap up. So I want to hear from Elizabeth, Whitney, and then I had a slip there. Her wind up points, what you got from this takeaway. And then anything else you want to hear from Sam on, and then Whitney the same, and then Carrie will conclude with you, and we'll hear one last time from Sam before we end tonight. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Well, I really enjoyed that because I've actually had a similar experience to Miss Sam. I got a start in political consulting over the last election cycle, and it just kind of came to me. The person called and said, "Hey, can you help me on my campaign?" And we're going to be helping, all over the state. And so that opened my eyes up to the world of, political consulting and, working on large scale campaigns. And that's something that I could see potentially having a business in of my own in the future. But Not yet. I'm not experienced or qualified enough, and I have to finish my education before, jumping into that realm. But I also want to ask one question to Ms. Sam, and I want to go back to the loans for people who, are students or who don't have a lot of money to put towards a startup business. Would you tell them to get a loan? Would you tell them to start out with friends and family doing business? Like, should they do free work on the side to get their name out there? How do you recommend them go about networking and trying to get the money saved up to start a successful business?
Yeah, when the opportunity doesn't just present itself to you kind of the way your path went. Sam, what are your thoughts on somebody who has a different experience?
So Elizabeth, come see me about your consulting on politics, because that's actually what I did next. After the dog food company, I worked on campaigns, and then I had the Black Caucus, the Florida Black Caucus, as a client, and actually now, again, 10 years later, have them as a client. So politics is where I ended up. I would say that there are different ways that you can raise the funding, right? There are business pitches, where you business pitch contests, where you
can you tell us about angel investors? Because a lot of people don't know that term, and that is very important.
That's another one too. So there are angel investors out there, people who are typically anonymous, and they will invest in your company, right? They'll give you so much, and they want so much in return.
Right.
So
that's why you gotta have that good business plan. So you can tell these people, if you trust me, if you believe in me, I'm going to give you X% return on your investment at such time. It doesn't have, that's why you have to have a business plan, because it's not just like, give me $5,000, I'll give you, 10% interest. It doesn't work that way. You may need to work a couple of years and then pay them. It could be structured a bunch of different ways, but you've got to have some help, and there's help available. SCORE, a million, resources that Sam just told us about.
And it depends
on for women too. What do you recommend to get them comfortable with asking for money? Because I know that I talked to Dana about this. Women are not comfortable asking. They don't like to ask for things. We like to think, yes, we can do everything on our own. Don't want to get financial support from somebody else. But what's your advice to those people? Like, do you just tell them to swallow their pride and go ask? Or is there a method to the madness?
I'll tell you in short what I do and what I currently do, because I fundraise a lot and I have to ask for money, and I can't be afraid to do that. One thing and one thing only: be confident in what you're asking for, what you're asking about, right? What your cause is. Be confident with your cause. And if you show that confidence, and sometimes it's a passion behind it, like for Ladies Learning to Lead, it's a passion for me. And so people see that passion. And when I go and I ask for support, they see the passion and they see the confidence. I know what I'm talking about. That confidence will let you know what you're talking about, will show people that you're serious, and will show people that this is really something that they want to be involved in. When you have confidence, you can get a long way. You can go, confidence goes a long way. A little bit of confidence
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes you ask with with righteousness, with a belief that you will receive it because you should. Whitney, what are you thinking? What about, you're on mute, by the way, but what do you think about final questions for Sam tonight as you think about your future as a business owner and what kind of a company you want to start?
Girl, I got this. Let's see. Well, I love hearing about these resources, first of all. When I heard there's a checklist on how to start your business, my mom was like, what? You can do that? So I can't wait to share that with the group. First of all, that was the first thing. Second, I have used a coach, I guess.
Yeah, talk about that.
Mentors. I love my coach. Since working with her, I have seen from what seemed like a fuzzy idea, like, oh yeah, I want to do a business one day. I still don't know what that business is, but the possibility of it seems so much more clear to me. And my confidence in the ability to do it, I feel way stronger in that confidence. And I completely agree. Confidence is so key. It's something I work on a daily basis, and I think all women should. But I am just so excited to have you on, and hearing great things from you. So thank you so much.
Hey, Sam, follow up to what Whitney said. What is a coach when it comes to starting a business? We had a coach on last week, and there's professional coaches, there's life coaches, but we hear about coaching all the time. Everybody's a coach, everybody's got a coach, you got to have a coach, you need a coach. What do you consider coaching, and why is it so valuable in your view?
That's a great question. That's a great question because I'm actually in school right now to be a youth and leadership coach. And I graduate in 2 weeks, you guys. So excited. Final exam on the way. So coaching is really important, and every coach should have a coach. But if you don't want to go technical with the actual coaching and being certified in coaching in that sense, mentors. Shout out to my mentor, my main mentor, Steve Evans. He's in Tallahassee, and he is the best in the business.
Women can have male mentors. Women could have male therapists.
Good have male mentors.
It's all good to have a different perspective. I like that.
Right, absolutely. Sabrina Samuels is another one. Emmett Reed I mentioned before as well. So yeah, just having a coach is really important. And in your coach or your mentor, you want to make sure that they listen. Number one,
Yes.
your coach or your mentor should never talk way more than you. There should be, of course, there's guidance and advice, right? But there should be a point, a solid point, like in counseling, where they listen to you so they can understand where you are. And
I was trained 70-30, 70-30. I should talk 30% of the time. They should talk 70%.
Yeah, trust me. I get a lot of talking in. Yes.
And that's what we learn in coaching school. And it's awkward sometimes because you have these moments of silence, but that's where your person, your mentee, the person you're coaching is really getting into the groove, and you're helping them figure it out, because your job is not to figure it out for them. Yeah. It's for them to figure it out, and then you help them with the resources from there.
Yeah, you got to get comfortable with dead space. A lot of people, especially women, they're not comfortable with silence. Get comfortable with silence. Silence is where the growth occurs. Whenever you're filling space with words and frenetic energy, you're just putting off doing the hard work you don't want to do. So learn to embrace and become comfortable with silence. That's where the growth occurs. I want to end with Carrie. Tell me what you thought about what you've heard tonight. We've met Sam, heard about what she's done, the opportunities that came across her path, and how she was able to optimize them. You're, like I said, a business owner too. You are in a developmental phase where your career is firing on all cylinders, yet you still have children in your home, professional husband. What are you thinking now as words of encouragement for women who want to start businesses, whether it's now in the future? What do you think about side businesses you may want to do that just are personally fulfilling? What are your thoughts after our episode today?
Well, so Sam, I wish that you were around when I graduated law school, because I graduated with a lot of law school debt, but I could have used a mentor or somebody to say, go for it, and here's the resources, and here's the list, and here's the coaching, and here's how you do it. I didn't have that. And so I kind of went a more traditional path and joined a big law firm in DC and all that stuff. So I really wish, I love the fact that we have you on and that we're getting you out there, because I think that so many women and men that are listening to this can know from you that they can go for it. You know what I mean? That, even if you have student loan debt or you have whatever, you can still go for it and do it, because you're providing them wonderful resources. But my question for you, so Maggie Cook, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Love her.
So I had the pleasure of interviewing Maggie Cook for our show, Come Back Stronger. Mm-hmm. And one of the most poignant things that Maggie said, and I loved this about her, was that she failed 90 times. She tried to sell her award-winning salsa product that ultimately earned her, a $231 million sale to Campbell Soup Company. She tried to sell that to 90 retailers, local retailers, and they all said no. And she kept going and going and going and going. So my question to you, which I think our audience would be interested in hearing, and I'm interested in hearing, is how do you keep persevering past so much failure? And for me, one of my kryptonites, or whatever you might call it, is the fear of failure. So that has held me back in many aspects of my life, to be perfectly honest, both professionally and personally. So what would you say to people? How do you keep going when you fail so much?
Yeah. How do you develop that thick skin that says, no, I'm fine. People need to hear from me. I'm going to keep plugging along.
And there's a lot of failure in success. There really is.
Yeah. There really is, and we should use those failures in order to succeed. That's one way I do it. You tell me no, then guess what? I'm gonna get a yes. from somebody else, or I'll get a yes from you eventually.
I love it.
I just keep going. There are millions of people who would want to help me or would want to serve, or there are millions of people who I can pitch this to. So you're not the only one, right? But if I really want you, then I'll come back and get you eventually, or you'll be sorry that you didn't say yes because I'll get something better. Okay. So that's one thing. And I think stuff like that, I think that's DNA and also upbringing. And that upbringing, and this is another topic because I'm all about women and girl stuff and trauma and all that, but it could be trauma related, you know, upbringing and trauma, and you're just forced to be that fighter, that go-getter, that overcomer, because you fought through so much as a young kid, and now it's like do or die in everything that you do. So you just go hard, you hustle in these streets, right? I think Jimmy has that in his office, like I'm a hustler, right? So you just you hustle through it. Faith is a big one for me. Faith. Gotta believe in God. I totally rely on that, because there are a lot of things that I do and I move and I make things happen, but there are a lot of other things that come my way I had nothing to do with, and I know it's God. It's like people will literally say, like no lie, I had this lady about less than a month ago say, the Holy Spirit told me to call you and give you this opportunity.
Wow.
For business. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? And it was when somebody else told me no. Somebody told me no, and she called me back and said the Holy Spirit. Now that is rare, few and far between, right? But it happens.
But praise the Lord for those circumstances, because those are what give me chills. Hearing about those
chills, and I was on the phone crying, and she said, I could tell through your email that you were a believer. And I'm like, no way. So faith is a big driving force for me. And then, just keep telling me no, because that's going to help me to succeed.
I love that. I love that so much. And that's kind of like what we do as personal injury lawyers, right? So we represent people that have been hurt or in a bad place in their life. And all we do is we're told no all day long by the insurance companies, judges, whomever. They keep telling us no, and we just keep fighting until we get the resolution that our clients deserve. So we're doing that. We're hustling on a professional basis like that. So it's so interesting to hear that you use that kind of hustle in other ways, you know?
Yeah, let the no's move you. Let the no's move you. Let that help you make your moves, and whatever move that might be, money moves, I say mentoring moves, you know, because that's what I do. Let the no's move you. So all of that really helps. And then the last thing I would say to that, and this is a plug for my book, journaling.
Tell us about your book, Sam.
That is huge for me.
Let's say more about it.
When we have a lot of stuff built up inside, we got to get it out. Like everybody has to release. When you're sick, you have a cold, you got toxins in your body, and they say sweat it out, right? Go to a sauna or something, you got to sweat that out. You got to get everything out. So whatever comes in has to come out. When you get a no that comes into your spirit, into your mind, and what it could be into your body, it could be a physical thing, then you got to let that out. One way to do that is by journaling. Journaling has helped me hands down. And it's not journaling or emailing and shooting it out to that person. It's journaling and keeping it to myself, because I've released it. And then I put an ask to it. Typically when I journal, I ask, you know, like, Lord, I want this, or Samantha, go make this happen. Like, we got to, I'll refer to us as we. Who is we?
Your team keeping you afloat. I like it.
Telling y'all my secrets. I'll be like, we need to do this, you know? So I'll literally write that down. Like, we're going to do this because they said no. So journaling is huge. And I've just launched pre-orders for my journal book called 21 Days of Healing. It's all about healing from any traumatic situation or just normal stuff that we might go through and how we dealt with it. So in the journal, it's very different. It's not just a bunch of lines on pages. You do have that. You got plenty of space to write. But in between each journal entry, you have stories from women and girls like Dana Brooks and others who are sharing their healing journey and how they actually came through some really tough times, how they overcame it. How many of you have been journaling and you're just
started journaling.
Right?
So I'm excited about reading your book because I want to learn more about it and how to, you know, best do it so that it benefits me.
Right.
Whitney,
And
you
sometimes
journal,
when
don't
we're
you?
journaling, we're
Um,
left to
I don't.
ourselves and our thoughts in our journal. But how great is it to see stories from other women and girls of how they overcame? Because I don't know about y'all, but when I'm journaling, I'm like, I don't know how the heck I'm gonna get through this. What do I need to do? You know, I'm just journaling, tears on the pages and all of that.
Yeah, but you're
But
right. You're releasing toxins. You're getting it out of you. So what is
yeah,
inside of you can reach your goals.
Yeah,
It's
right.
I'll
almost
tell
like
you.
you're removing this army that you're fighting. It's
Yeah,
like,
I'll tell you
I don't
something
want anything to
I,
fight.
I
Let me get it
started
out.
recently was I haven't launched it or anything, but I started a blog because I felt like I had so much to say about what's going on in the world and how me as a millennial in this unique predicament that this generation is in, and as a woman, how we are experiencing what's going on in the world. And that's really what helped me because
Yeah.
I can't bend someone's ear about every little thing that I think or I feel. So writing that out is a great idea. I don't do it that much honestly on a daily basis, but for that it's a great tool.
Well, it's like you say, Whitney, you can't, nobody wants a phone call from their friend every 2 seconds because they got a stress. I mean, you can't abuse your friends like that, but you also don't want to keep it in, internalize it, and stress about it. You just need to get it out.
Right.
Just release its power over you. I love the idea of journalism. I just wish I could read my own handwriting. I could type journal. It might work.
Right.
Carrie, do you journal at all?
I don't, and I'm not ashamed to say that I don't really have time to do it. I did when I was younger. So I know it is a pretty cathartic kind of centering thing to do. You know what's interesting though is my 15-year-old is a very competitive tennis player, and his coaches have him journal and journal about his sport and his goals and his, things that happen and things he wants to happen. So I think that's very interesting that they're employing that tactic in the athletic world, and it's actually working. So yeah, it really helps with his success and his learning and his progress.
I wonder if it helps boys that age get rid of some of that testosterone fueled anger and angst.
Mhm.
God
Maybe it
knows.
keeps you from punching a hole through the wall. You write it on a page. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's a mental health tool.
Yeah.
Journaling
Yeah, and
is
it's like
another form
it's a like capturing your visualization. So they have him visualize his goals and who he wants to be, what he wants to accomplish, and he also has to write that. And again, it's more athletic driven, but I do think it helps center him and
It's
focus
still
him.
about goals. It's still about goals. It's still about processing feelings. It's still about rejecting things that tell you can't do it. It's
Yeah.
all about getting your head straight. So there's a million ways, more than one way to skin a cat, as my grandmother used to say. Listen, we could talk all day
Yeah.
long to Samantha Vance, y'all. I want to thank you so much, Sam, for joining us today. You are an inspiration to so many young women and girls. You yourself are leaping bounds and you're accomplishing things that I can't even believe it. I'm so excited to be in your orbit and get to watch your success. So thank you for
so
coming.
much.
Same. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, Sam.
Thank
Thank you, Miss
want to check
Sam.
out my
for being
book,
here again. Carrie's so committed to this effort. Elizabeth, you are always right there, and I'm so excited to see your trajectory and follow your path into the world. And
Absolutely.
Whitney, I particularly like you.
Fond of me somewhat.
Whitney's my mini me baby. Anyway, I'm so proud of you and everything you're doing to make the world a better place and reach your potential. So thank all of you empowered women. Thank you, Sam. And we will see you next week on another episode of the EmPower Hour brought to you by the EmPower Plant by Facing Brooks. Good night, y'all.